Story time. A billionaire named Segun stood at his mansion window, watching a pregnant woman huddle under his gate for the third day straight. Behind him, his 3 children had just driven away their 15th nanny in 4 months. His business empire was crumbling because he couldn't focus. His ex-wife had left him a voicemail threatening to take the children. And this homeless woman, this stranger, kept staring at his house like it held all the answers to her prayers. Then a wild, desperate, absolutely insane thought sprang up in his mind. He walked up to her in the pouring rain and said, "My children need a mother, and you clearly need a roof over your head. Let's make a deal." She looked at him like he'd grown 2 heads, opened her mouth to respond, and then everything went black. She had fainted. What happened afterwards will leave you absolutely speechless. 3 days earlier, Omoni's hands trembled as she read the eviction notice for the 3rd time, even though she had memorized every cruel word. You have 24 hours to vacate the premises. 24 hours. She had nowhere to go, no family, no friends who would take in a pregnant woman with no money. Her baby's father had disappeared the moment she told him about the pregnancy, leaving her with nothing but empty promises and an emptier bank account. She packed her life into 2 plastic bags, clothes that barely fit anymore, a few photographs, and a stuffed elephant she'd bought for the baby during better times. Then she walked out into the Lagos streets with no destination, only hope. That's how she ended up at the gate of the biggest mansion she'd ever seen, present day. The rain hammered down with the fury of 1,000 drums. Omoni had been crouched under that gate for 72 hours. 72 hours of watching expensive cars drive in and out. 72 hours of hearing children's laughter from inside the compound. 72 hours of praying someone would show mercy. Her baby kicked hard, a reminder that time was running out. She was 8 months pregnant. Where would she give birth? On the street? Inside the mansion, Segun Thompson was experiencing his own version of hell. "Daddy! Daddy! Daddy!" 3 voices screamed in unison from the dining room. Segun closed his laptop with the resignation of a man who had given up on peace. His business meeting with Japanese investors would have to wait again. His company was losing millions because he couldn't focus. How could he negotiate international deals when his home life was a war zone? He walked into the dining room and immediately wished he hadn't. The scene before him looked like a tornado had mated with a food factory and given birth to chaos. Nanny number 15, Mrs. Adewale, a 62-year-old grandmother who had raised 12 children of her own and had come highly recommended, was backed into a corner holding a serving tray like a shield. Her eyes were wild. Her gray hair had escaped its usually neat bun. There was what appeared to be oatmeal in her ear. 8-year-old Sei stood on the dining table in her school uniform, one hand on her hip like a tiny dictator, the other pointing accusingly at the breakfast spread. "I specifically said wanted pancakes. Pancakes, not waffles, not toast, not this sad excuse for breakfast." "But yesterday," Mrs. Adewale started. "Yesterday is ancient history," Sei interrupted. "We live in the now, the present. Do you even understand the concept of linear time?" Segun blinked. His 8-year-old daughter was using phrases from the documentary about physics she'd watched last week. Great, just great. 6-year-old Tunde, who had inherited his father's entrepreneurial spirit but used it for evil, was conducting what he called an experiment. He had lined up all the glasses of orange juice, 6 of them, and was carefully adding different amounts of salt to each one. "Tunde, what are you doing?" Segun asked, though he was afraid of the answer. "Science, Daddy." "I'm testing which juice to salt ratio creates the most dramatic disgust reaction. Nanny number 14 never let me finish my research because she quit. Very unprofessional of her." "That's because you made her drink it." "How else was I supposed to gather data?" Tunde looked genuinely confused. 4-year-old Tayo, the baby of the family but certainly not the innocent one, had somehow climbed onto the chandelier. Yes, the chandelier, He was hanging from it like a tiny, adorable monkey, swinging back and forth. Tayo! Segun's heart jumped into his throat. Get down right now! But Daddy, I'm playing Tarzan. Aha! Tayo beat his chest with one hand while holding on with the other. That chandelier cost more than a car. Which car? Tayo asked with genuine curiosity. Mrs. Attewell made a sound that was half sob, half laugh, entirely unhinged. I raised 12 children, she whispered to herself, rocking slightly. 12? None of them, not even the twins who set the kitchen on fire. None of them were like this. Sei turned her attention from the breakfast to the nanny. That's because we are exceptional, extraordinary. One might even say, Sei, please get off the table. Segun interrupted tiredly. Give me one good reason. Because I'm your father and I said so. That's not a reason. That's authoritarianism. I read about it. I don't care what you read about. Crash. Tayo had swung too hard. The chandelier made an ominous creaking sound. Everyone froze, looking up in horror. Oops, Tayo offered weakly. Mrs. Attewell didn't scream. She didn't cry. She simply placed the serving tray down with the calm of someone who had transcended human emotion, picked up her handbag, and walked toward the door. Mrs. Attewell? Segun called after her. She turned at the doorway. Her face was eerily calm. Mr. Thompson, I have worked as a nanny for 40 years. 40 years. I have dealt with bedwetters, tantrum throwers, food allergic, homework refusing, toy destroying children. But your children, she paused, searching for words. Your children are not children. They are tiny agents of chaos sent to test the limits of human patience. I'm going to church. I'm going to pray. And then I'm going to retire. But, good day, sir. She walked out with the dignity of a queen, leaving the door wide open behind her. The children looked at their father. Their father looked at the children. The chandelier creaked ominously. Nanny number 15 only lasted 2 weeks, Tunde observed. That's actually the third best record. What's the best record? Segun asked, even though he didn't want to know. Nanny number 3 lasted a whole month. Remember her, Sei? Oh yes, Miss Gloria. She was tough. It took us 28 days to break her. Can we not talk about breaking people like they're horses? Segun pinched the bridge of his nose. And Tayo, get down from that chandelier! But it was too late. Crack. The chandelier broke free from one side and swung wildly. Tayo screamed. Segun's heart stopped. He ran forward, arms outstretched, catching his 4-year-old son just as the chandelier crashed to the floor in an explosion of crystal and metal. Silence. Segun held Tayo tight, his heart hammering so hard he thought it might escape his chest. The chandelier, the incredibly expensive, imported from Italy chandelier, lay in pieces on his marble floor. That was awesome, Tayo breathed, clearly missing the point. You could have died. Segun's voice cracked. But I didn't. You caught me. You're like a superhero, Daddy. Segun wanted to laugh. He wanted to cry. He wanted to scream. Instead, he just held his son and stared at the destruction around him. This was his life. This was what his success had bought him. A beautiful mansion filled with chaos. 3 children he loved more than life itself but couldn't control. A business empire that was suffering because he had to leave important meetings to deal with chandelier incidents and nanny evacuations. His phone buzzed. He pulled it out one-handed, still holding Tayo. Ex-wife Jennifer, I heard you lost another nanny. When are you going to admit you can't handle them? Maybe it's time to discuss custody arrangements. I'm sure a judge would be very interested to know about your situation. Segun's blood ran cold. Jennifer, his ex-wife who had abandoned them 5 years ago, when his business failed, when they lost everything, when he was broke and broken. She had left him with 3 small children and divorce papers. Now that he'd rebuilt his empire, now that he was a billionaire again, suddenly she wanted back in. over his dead body. But the threat was real. 15 nannies in 4 months. That looked bad. Really bad. The kind of bad that could make a judge question his parenting abilities. He needed help, desperately. Segun walked to the window, his mind racing through impossible solutions. He needed someone who could handle his children. Someone who wouldn't quit. Someone who needed this job badly enough to stay no matter what. That's when he saw her again. The pregnant woman, still at his gate. 3rd day now, she hadn't moved except to shift positions. Where did she sleep? What did she eat? Why was she still there? Their eyes met across the distance, and suddenly, like a lightning bolt of pure insanity, an idea struck him. It was crazy, absolutely bonkers. The kind of idea that made no sense whatsoever. But desperate times called for desperate measures. And if there was one thing Segun had learned in business, it was that sometimes the craziest deals were the ones that worked. Say, Tunde, stay here. Watch your brother. I'm going outside for a minute. In the rain? Say looked at him suspiciously. Yes. Without an umbrella? Yes. Are you okay, Daddy? Did the chandelier hit your head? Just stay here. Segun walked out into the rain. The security guard, Biodun, jumped to attention. Sir, you need umbrella. No, open the gate. Sir, open the gate. Biodun exchanged glances with his colleague, clearly thinking his boss had finally snapped, but opened the gate. Segun walked through into the rain, toward the woman who had been camping at his gate for 3 days. Up close, she looked even more desperate. Her clothes were soaked. Her face was gaunt. But her eyes held something he recognized. Determination. The same look he'd had 5 years ago when he'd lost everything and decided to rebuild. What's your name? He asked. She stared at him, shocked that the owner of the mansion was actually speaking to her. Oh, Omoni, sir. Why are you here, Omoni? I need work, sir. Any work. I can clean, cook, wash, anything. Can you handle difficult children? She blinked rain out of her eyes. Sir, I have 3 children. They are challenging. I've had 15 nannies in 4 months. 15. They all quit. Can you handle that? I've survived on the streets for 6 months while pregnant, sir. I think I can handle anything. Segun almost smiled. She had no idea what she was saying. Here's my proposal. You move into my house. You take care of my children. Not as a nanny, as a partner. A business arrangement. I provide everything for you and your baby. Food, shelter, medical care, clothes, education for your child, everything. In return, you don't quit. No matter what. We'll sign a contract, 1 year minimum. Professional boundaries. Separate rooms, nothing inappropriate. After 1 year, if you want to leave, you'll leave with enough money to start a new life. Deal? Omoni's mouth fell open. She looked at the mansion, then at him, then at her pregnant belly, then back at him. Is this real? She whispered. Or am I dreaming because I'm starving? It's real, but I need to know right now. My ex-wife is threatening to take my children because she thinks I can't handle them. I need stability. You need a home. It's a business transaction. What do you say? Omoni stared at the strange, soaking wet billionaire, offering her everything she'd prayed for. It was too good to be true. It had to be a trick. But what choice did she have? When do I start? Right now. But I don't know anything about you. And I don't know anything about you. That's why we're signing a contract. My lawyer will draw it up today. You'll have your own room, your own space. The children? He paused, trying to figure out how to explain his children. Just don't let them break you. Can you promise me that? Omoni straightened her spine, placing a hand protectively on her belly. Sir, I've slept in gutters. I've eaten from garbage bins. I've been invisible to everyone who passed me on the street. Your children might be difficult, but I promise you, they haven't seen difficult until they have seen a pregnant woman with nothing to lose. Segun's eyes widened. Then for the first time in weeks, he genuinely smiled. Welcome to the Thompson household, Omoni. God help us both. He offered his hand. She shook it. Neither of them realized they had just made a deal that would change all their lives forever. Behind them, three faces pressed against the upstairs window, watching with suspicious eyes. Daddy's bringing home the homeless lady, Sei observed. Think she'll last longer than nanny number 15? Tunde asked. Not a chance, Sei gritted wickedly. Not a chance. Little did they know, Omoni was about to become the best thing that ever happened to them. But first, she had to survive. Omoni stood in the mansion's marble foyer, dripping rainwater onto the expensive floor, and tried not to pass out from shock. She had gone from homeless to this? The foyer alone was bigger than any apartment she'd ever lived in. Crystal chandeliers, well, one was now in pieces, but there were others, hung from impossibly high ceilings. A curved staircase swept upward like something from a movie. Everything gleamed, everything sparkled, everything screamed money. Mrs. Okafor, Segun called out. An older woman appeared from somewhere wearing an apron and a concerned expression. Yes, sir. This is Omoni. She'll be staying with us. Can you show her to the guest room, get her some dry clothes, and help her settle in? Mrs. Okafor looked Omoni up and down, taking in the wet, ragged clothes and pregnant belly. But unlike the looks Omoni had gotten on the street, the disgusted, dismissive glances, Mrs. Okafor's eyes held warmth. Of course, sir. Come, my dear, let's get you cleaned up. As Omoni followed Mrs. Okafor up the stairs, she heard small footsteps following behind. She turned to find three children trailing her like tiny spies. The oldest, a girl with neat braids and intelligent eyes that held way too much sass for someone barely 8 years old, crossed her arms. So you're the new one. My name is Omoni. We'll see if you last long enough for us to remember it, the girl replied coolly. I'm Sei. That's Tunde. That's Tayo. Welcome to your nightmare. Sei, Mrs. Okafor scolded. Mind your manners. I'm just being honest, Mrs. Okafor. Honesty is a virtue. You taught me that. Mrs. Okafor muttered something under her breath about too smart for her own good and hurried Omoni along. The guest room was a dream. A huge bed with fluffy pillows, a bathroom attached, windows overlooking a garden. Omoni touched the bedspread like it might disappear. I'll bring you some clothes, Mrs. Okafor said gently. We're about the same size, though you're pregnant, so we'll need to adjust. There's soap, shampoo, everything you need in the bathroom. Take a hot shower, my dear. You look frozen. Thank you, Omoni whispered, tears suddenly threatening. Kindness. When was the last time anyone had been kind to her? Don't thank me yet, Mrs. Okafor said with a knowing look. You haven't dealt with the children properly yet. But she paused at the door, her expression softening. They're not bad kids. They're hurt kids. Their mother left when they were babies. They've learned that everyone leaves eventually, so they make people leave first, understand? Omoni nodded slowly. She understood more than Mrs. Okafor knew. She'd been abandoned too. After the housekeeper left, Omoni stood in the shower for 20 minutes, letting hot water wash away 3 days of rain, 6 months of street dirt, and what felt like a lifetime of despair. She cried. She couldn't help it. This morning she'd been sleeping under a gate. Now she was in a mansion. But as she dried off and put on the clean clothes Mrs. Okafor had left, soft, comfortable, warm, reality set in. This wasn't charity. Possibly the hardest job she'd ever have. 3 children who drove away 15 nannies. 3 children who clearly had issues. 3 children who had already declared her presence a nightmare. Omoni looked at herself in the mirror, at her pregnant belly, at her tired eyes. Okay, baby, she said to her stomach. Mama's about to go to war, but we're survivors. We've made it this far. We can handle 3 kids. How hard can it be? Very hard, as she was about to discover. Dinner time in the Thompson household was like watching a theatrical production directed by chaos itself. Segun sat at the head of the long dining table, trying to read business reports while simultaneously monitoring his children. Omoni sat to his right, nervous and alert. Mrs. Okafor had made a beautiful meal: jollof rice, fried chicken, plantains, salad. The children sat across from them, lined up like tiny judges at a trial. "So," Sei began, cutting her chicken with the precision of a surgeon. "Tell us about yourself, Omoni." "Well, Where are you from?" Tunde interrupted. "Are you going to have your baby here?" Tayo added. "Do you snore?" Sei again. "Can you braid hair?" Tunde. "Do you know karate?" Tayo. "Why were you at our gate?" Sei. "Are you a spy?" Tunde. "I like your face." Tayo. "Children," Segun's voice cut through the rapid-fire interrogation. "One question at a time." And Tayo, "That's not a question." "It's a compliment, Daddy." "Miss Omoni has a nice face." Despite everything, Omoni smiled. Tayo might be the youngest, but he was definitely the sweetest. "Thank you, Tayo. To answer your questions, I'm from Lagos. Yes, I'll have my baby here if your father allows it. I don't know if I snore because I sleep alone. I can braid hair. I don't know karate, but I'm good at running away from trouble. I was at your gate because I needed help. And no, I'm not a spy." The children exchanged glances, having a silent conversation only siblings could have. "She answered everything," Tunde said, impressed. "Maybe she's smart," Tayo added. "Or maybe she's practiced lying," Sei countered. But there was a hint of respect in her voice. "Sei," Segun warned him. "I'm just saying, Daddy. We need to be careful. Remember nanny number 7? She stole Mrs. Okafor's jewelry. That was never proven. And nanny number 9 was texting her boyfriend during playtime. And nanny number 12 fell asleep while Tayo almost drowned in the pool." Tunde added. "I wasn't drowning. I was practicing holding my breath for 5 minutes." Omoni listened to this chaos, trying to piece together the full picture. These children weren't just mischievous. They were scared. Every adult in their life, except their father, had either left or failed them. "Your father hired me because I won't quit," Omoni said suddenly, interrupting their argument. "I'm not a nanny. I'm not your mother. I'm someone who needs this opportunity as much as you need someone reliable. So here's the deal. You can test me. You can challenge me. You can be as difficult as you want. But I'm not leaving. Not because I'm stubborn, but because I literally have nowhere else to go. So we can either make this a war, or we can make this work. Your choice." Silence. The children stared at her. Segun stared at her. Even Mrs. Okafor, who was refilling water glasses, stopped to stare. Then Sei laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, you're definitely interesting." "Okay, Omoni, let's see what you've got." "Challenge accepted," Tunde grinned. "I still like your face," Tayo added helpfully. Segun caught Omoni's eye and gave her a small nod. Round 1 survived. But as everyone went back to eating, Segun noticed something that made his stomach twist. Omoni was eating like she hadn't seen food in days. Because she probably hadn't. This woman had been starving. Pregnant and starving. And he'd walked past her for 3 days before offering help. Guilt hit him hard. After dinner, after the children had been herded upstairs for homework time, Segun found Omoni on the balcony, staring at the garden. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For being honest with them. About why you're staying. Seemed better than lying." She paused. "Mr. Thompson?" "Call me Segun. Mr. Thompson makes me feel old." "Segun," she corrected. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why did your wife leave?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Segun was quiet for so long, Omoni thought he wouldn't answer. 5 years ago, my business collapsed. Bad investments, worse partners, terrible timing. We lost everything, the house, the cars, everything. We moved into a tiny apartment. Jennifer, my wife, she couldn't handle it. The stress, the shame, the poverty. She said she didn't sign up for this. She left divorce papers and never looked back. Didn't even fight for custody. Just left. I'm sorry. Don't be. She showed me who she was. People reveal themselves in crisis. She chose money over family. He turned to Omoni. What about you? Your baby's father? Similar story, different details? He said he loved me. Then I got pregnant. Then he disappeared. Men are good at that, apparently. Not all men, Sigun said firmly. I would never abandon my children. I can see that. Omoni smiled softly. You're a good father, Sigun. They're difficult because they're smart and hurt, not because you're failing. Something in Sigun's chest tightened. When was the last time someone had said he was doing a good job? Get some rest, he said gruffly, uncomfortable with the emotion. Tomorrow your real test begins. What's tomorrow? School run, breakfast preparation, homework supervision, bath time, bedtime, all of it. Omoni's eyes widened. All of it. On my second day? You said you wouldn't quit. I won't, but I might cry. Sigun laughed, a real laugh. That's fair. Even I cry sometimes. As he walked away, Omoni called out, Sigun. He turned. Thank you. For the chance, for the food, for believing I could do this. Don't thank me yet, he echoed Mrs. Okafor's words. Thank me if you survive the first week. Omoni went to bed that night full, warm, and terrified. Tomorrow the real war would begin. Omoni woke up at 6 a.m. to the sound of screaming. Not scared screaming, not hurt screaming, argument screaming. She rushed out of her room, her pregnant belly making her waddle more than run, and followed the noise to the children's bathroom. Inside, she found Sei and Tune engaged in a cold war over the sink. I was here first, Sei shrieked, toothbrush in hand like a weapon. You've been here for 20 minutes, Tunade shot back. There are 3 bathrooms in this house. Use another one. This is my bathroom, mine and Tayo's. You have your own bathroom. Mine doesn't have the good toothpaste. Then buy good toothpaste. I'm 6, I don't have money. Omoni stepped between them. Hands up. Okay. Everyone calm down. Both children turned to her with identical expressions of outrage. This doesn't concern you, new lady, Sei said icily. This is a sibling matter. My name is Omoni, and if you're screaming at 6 a.m., it concerns everyone. Sei, how much longer do you need? As long as I want. Wrong answer, you have 2 minutes. Tunde, use your bathroom. I'll bring you the good toothpaste. But 2 minutes. Omoni stared them down. She had learned on the streets that confidence was everything. Even if you felt terrified, never show it. Sei's eyes narrowed, evaluating, testing. Then, surprisingly, she shrugged. Fine. 2 minutes. But I'm counting, and if you're off by even 1 second, I'll survive the disappointment. Omoni walked away to find Tayo, who was still asleep, sprawled across his bed like a starfish. She gently shook him awake. Tayo, sweetie, time to wake up. He opened one eye. Are you my new mommy? Omoni's heart clenched. No, baby. I'm just your friend who lives here. Okay, Tayo accepted this with the easy logic of a 4-year-old. Can my friend make pancakes? Let's see what I can do. 20 minutes later, Omoni stood in the massive kitchen, staring at appliances that looked like they belonged on a spaceship. Where was the stove? Why did the refrigerator have a screen? What was this button? Mrs. Okafor walked in, saw her confusion, and chuckled. First time in a fancy kitchen? Is it that obvious? Don't worry. I'll help. She showed Omoni how everything worked, then left her to it with an encouraging smile. Omoni made pancakes. Simple, fluffy pancakes. She made scrambled eggs. She made bacon. She even cut up fruit and arranged it nicely on plates because presentation seemed important in a house like this. The children came downstairs at 7 a.m. sharp, already in their school uniforms. They sat at the table and stared at the food like it might explode. "Did you poison it?" Sei asked seriously. "Why would I poison you on my second day? That's terrible strategy." Tunde laughed. "She has a point." "I still think we should test it on someone first," Sei insisted. "Test it on me," Segun said, walking in. He had on a sharp suit and looked like he'd stepped out of a business magazine. He sat down, took a bite of pancakes, and his eyebrows rose. "These are really good." "Really?" Omoni asked nervously. "Really. Where did you learn to cook?" "YouTube videos at the library. When I had nowhere to go, I'd spend hours there learning things." The children slowly, suspiciously began eating. Tayo took a huge bite and grinned. "So good." Tunde tried the eggs. "Not bad, new lady." Even Sei, after thorough inspection, admitted they're acceptable. "High praise from Sei," Segun whispered to Omoni. She once told a five-star chef his omelet was offensively mediocre. Breakfast continued peacefully for exactly 7 minutes. Then Tayo decided to see if he could fit an entire pancake in his mouth at once. "Tayo, no!" Omoni lunged forward just as he successfully stuffed the whole thing in, cheeks bulging like a chipmunk. He couldn't chew. He couldn't swallow. He couldn't breathe properly. His eyes went wide. "Spit it out," Omoni commanded. He shook his head, determined to prove, what, that he could eat a whole pancake at once? "Tayo, this is not the time for stubbornness." Segun was on his feet now, too. Finally, Tayo spat the pancake into his hand with a disgusting splat. Everyone stared at the chewed-up mess. "That was gross," Sei said with the certainty of a judge. "But kind of impressive," Tunde added. "Never do that again," Omoni said firmly. "Do you know what choking means?" "It means dying." "Yes, and I really, really don't want you to die on my second day." Tayo considered this. "Okay, I'll try it again when you're not watching." "Tayo." Despite the pancake incident, Omoni counted breakfast as a win. Everyone was fed, nobody cried, the house was still standing. Then came the school run. "Okay, everyone in the car," Segun announced, grabbing his briefcase. "I call shotgun." Sei yelled, racing toward the door. "No, I call it." Tunde chased after her. "I call it first." Tayo scrambled behind them both. They all crashed into each other at the doorway like a scene from a cartoon. Arms flailed, legs tangled. Someone's shoe flew off. "Nobody gets shotgun," Segun bellowed. "All of you in the back, now!" Omoni watched this chaos with growing horror. This was just getting to the car. What would the actual school drop-off look like? She was about to find out. The drive took 20 minutes because their school was in the fancy part of Lagos where all the rich people sent their children. 20 minutes of, "Sei's looking at me." "Tunde's breathing too loud." "Tayo keeps touching my arm." "I'm not touching your arm. I'm touching the air near your arm." "That's the same thing." "No, it's not. Air is free. You don't own air." "Yes, I do. I own the air in my personal space." Omoni turned around from the front seat where Segudsiriam had insisted she sit. "Children, please. It's too early for this." "It's never too early for justice," Sei declared dramatically. "Tayo is violating my airspace." "I'll violate your face," Tayo shot back, which made no sense but was somehow threatening. "Enough!" Segun's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. "One more word from anyone and no screen time for a week, L." Instant silence. "Wow," Omoni whispered, "Bon, that actually worked." "Screen time is their life source," Segun whispered back. "It's the only threat that matters." They pulled up to the school, a massive, beautiful compound with manicured lawns and a gate that looked more secure than a bank. Parents in expensive cars were dropping off children in crisp uniforms. Everyone looked polished, perfect, put together. The Thompson children exploded out of the car like they'd been shot from cannons. "Bye, Daddy." Tayo hugged Segun's legs. "Bye, new lady." Tunde actually waved at Omoni. "Her name is Omoni, Tunde." "Use it," Sei grabbed her brother's hands. "Come on, we're going to be late." They ran toward the school, and Omoni watched in amazement as other children greeted them warmly. The Thompson children, despite being terrors at home, were apparently popular at school. "They're different here," she observed. "They're always different when there are witnesses," Segun said dryly. "At school, they're angels. At home, they're demons. It's like they have a switch. That's actually kind of brilliant." "It's exhausting is what it is." He started the car. "Come on, I'll drop you back at the house before I go to the office." "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why do you let them get away with so much?" Segun was quiet for a moment, navigating through morning traffic. "Because their mother left. Because they've been hurt. Because I was so busy rebuilding my business that I wasn't there for them the way I should have been. I guess I'm trying to make up for it." "By letting them run wild? By not giving them another reason to feel abandoned?" His hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Every time a nanny quits, they feel rejected again. Every time someone can't handle them, they internalize it as their fault. So yes, I let them get away with more than I should because I'm terrified of damaging them further." Omoni's heart ached. This man loved his children so fiercely it was breaking him. "Segun," she said gently, "loving them doesn't mean letting them rule. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set boundaries. They're testing everyone because they want to know who's strong enough to stay. They want someone who won't break." He looked at her with surprise. "Where did you learn that?" "Social worker told me once when I was in foster care. I was testing her too, being awful, trying to make her send me back. She told me I was looking for someone strong enough to fight for me." Omoni smiled sadly. "Your children are doing the same thing." Segun pulled into the mansion driveway and turned to face her fully. "You were in foster care?" "Several homes. None of them worked out. I aged out of the system at 18 with no family, no money, no plan. That's how I ended up where you found me. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me how to survive. And that's exactly what your children need to see, that I'm a survivor, that I won't break no matter what they throw at me." Segun stared at this pregnant homeless woman he'd hired on a desperate whim and realized she might be exactly what his family needed. "One question, though," Omoni added. "What's the worst thing they've done to a nanny?" Segun winced. "Do you really want to know?" "Yes." "Nanny number 8 found a snake in her bed." Omoni's eyes went wide. "A snake? A real snake?" "A harmless garden snake, but yes, very real. Sei caught it herself. She's resourceful." "Sweet Jesus," Omoni breathed. "These children are going to send me to an early grave." "Probably," Segun agreed, "but at least you'll die fed and sheltered." Despite everything, Omoni laughed. "You have a terrible sense of humor." "It's gotten me this far." That afternoon, when the children came home from school, Omoni was ready for battle. She'd spent the day preparing. Mrs. Okafor had given her a full briefing on each child's homework habits. Spoiler, they were terrible. She'd set up the dining room as a homework station with snacks, pencils, and a timer. "Okay, everyone," she announced as they walked in. "Drop your bags, wash your hands, snack time, then homework." The children froze. "Homework?" Sei said the word like it was a curse. "We don't do homework right after school. We have free time first." "New schedule," Omoni said cheerfully. "Get it done early. Have the whole evening free." "I don't like this schedule," Tunde declared. "Noted. Wash your hands." "What if we refuse?" Sei crossed her arms. "Then you sit at this table until bedtime with no dinner, no TV, no tablets, and no fun. Your choice." The children looked at each other. Was she serious? Could she do that? Dad would never let you starve us, Sei challenged. Your dad put me in charge of homework. His words were, and I quote, whatever you need to do to get it done. So yes, I absolutely can make you sit here all night, but I'd rather not because I'm pregnant and tired and I'd like to sit down too. So can we please just do this the easy way? Tayo was the first to crack. I'm hungry. Can I have the snack first? Yes, smart boy. Omoni gave him apple slice and cookies. Come sit. Show me your homework. Tayo had simple addition problems. He struggled through them while Omoni patiently helped, praising each correct answer. Tunde, watching his little brother get treats and praise, slowly joined. I guess I could do some. Excellent. What do you have? Reading comprehension. It's boring. Then let's make it fun. You read it out loud with silly voices. Every character gets a different voice. Really? Tunde's eyes lit up. Really? I want the main character to sound like a robot. Tunde giggled and began reading in an exaggerated robot voice. I am going to the store. Even Sei cracked a smile. What about you, Sei? Omoni asked. What's your homework? Math, long division. It's stupid. Can I see? Omoni looked at the problems. They were actually quite hard for an 8-year-old. Okay, these are tough, but I bet you can do them. You're clearly the smartest one here. Sei's eyes narrowed. Flattery won't work on me. I'm not flattering. I'm observing. You're the leader, right? The one who plans everything? That takes intelligence. So prove it. Show me you can handle hard math. It was pure manipulation, but it worked. Sei sat down with a huff and began working through the problems, determined to prove she was smart. For 20 beautiful minutes, there was peace, just the sound of pencils scratching, pages turning, and occasional questions. Then Tayo announced, I need to poop. Okay, go. I need someone to come with me. You're 4, you can poop alone. But what if I fall in? You won't fall in the toilet, Tayo. But what if a monster comes? There are no monsters. But what if... Fine, Tunde, take your brother to the bathroom. Why me? Tunde protested. Because you're the middle child and middle children are helpers. That's stereotyping. It's also true, please. Grumbling, Tunde took Tayo upstairs. Omoni heard the bathroom door close, then immediately heard, Tunde, I told you not to flush while I'm still sitting. It's funny, though. It's not funny. It's wet. Omoni closed her eyes. This job was going to give her gray hair before she turned 30. But then she looked at Sei, who was carefully working through her math problems with her tongue sticking out in concentration, and something warm bloomed in Omoni's chest. These kids weren't bad. They were just a lot. Omoni, Sei said suddenly. Yes. Did your baby's daddy really leave you? The question caught Omoni off guard. Yes. Was it because you're difficult like us? No, sweetie. It was because he was scared. Sometimes grown-ups run away from responsibility. Like our mom? Omoni's heart squeezed. Yes, like your mom. Sei was quiet for a moment, her pencil hovering over her paper. Do you think she ever misses us? I think she's an idiot for leaving you, all of you. You're amazing kids. We made 15 nannies quit. Yeah, well, those nannies weren't strong enough. I am. You don't know that yet. You're right, but I'm willing to find out. Are you? Sei looked up, and for the first time, there was something vulnerable in her eyes, something young and scared and hopeful. I guess we'll see, she said quietly, then went back to her bath. When Segun came home at 7 p.m., he found all 3 children with completed homework, eating dinner peacefully, and actually laughing at something Omoni was saying. He stood in the doorway, stunned. Mrs. Okafor appeared beside him. She's different from the others. How? She actually cares. The others wanted a paycheck. This one, she needs a family as much as they do. Segun watched Omoni ruffle Tayo's hair, listened to her laugh at one of Tunde's terrible jokes, saw the way Sei was actually smiling, really smiling, and felt something shift in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, this crazy arrangement might actually work. But day 5 brought a new challenge. The children had been testing Omoni all week. Small tests, refusing vegetables, taking too long in the bathroom, forgetting to do chores. She'd handled it all with patience and firmness, but they needed something bigger. Something that would really test her. "We need to level up," Sei announced during their secret sibling meeting in Tayo's room that night. "She's handled everything so far." "What if we hide her shoes?" Tunde suggested. "Too simple." "Put salt in her tea?" "Done that already. She just made new tea." "Put a lizard in her bathroom?" "Tayo, that's your solution to everything." "Because lizards are cool." "Focus," Sei commanded. "We need something that will really show us if she's staying or leaving." "What if we're just really mean?" Tunde suggested quietly. "Like, say mean things?" "Perfect," Sei grinned. "Operation Mean Machine starts tomorrow." The next morning it began. "Your hair looks messy," Sei commented at breakfast. Omoni, who was heavily pregnant and had barely slept, just shrugged. "Probably is." "And your dress is ugly," Tunde added. "It's not a fashion show, sweetie." "You're fat," Tayo said innocently, pointing at her belly. "I'm pregnant. There's a baby in there." "Still fat." "Okay, but that's where babies live, so..." The children exchanged frustrated looks. She wasn't reacting. They escalated. At lunch, Sei accidentally knocked over Omoni's water glass, soaking her lap. "Oops," Sei said with fake sweetness. "It's just water," Omoni replied calmly, getting paper towels. "It'll dry." Tunde refused to eat anything she made. "This tastes like garbage." "Then you can make your own sandwich." "Fine." He stomped to the kitchen, made the world's messiest peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and ate it with exaggerated enjoyment. "See? Way better than yours. Glad you like it." During homework time, Tayo kept forgetting his pencil, asking Omoni to get him a new one every 5 minutes, making her walk up and down the stairs repeatedly. Each trip was harder on her pregnant body. "Tayo, this is the 5th pencil," Omoni said, slightly out of breath. "I keep losing them," he said innocently. "Or you're hiding them to make me exercise." "Maybe." By late afternoon, Omoni was exhausted. The baby was kicking hard, probably annoyed by all the stress. Her back ached, her feet were swollen, and the children were being relentlessly terrible. She sat on the stairs to catch her breath, one hand on her belly, the other on the railing. And that's when she saw them. All 3 children were watching her from the living room with calculating eyes. They were testing her, pushing her to see when she'd break, when she'd quit like all the others. Suddenly, inspiration struck. If they wanted drama, she'd give them drama. Omoni stood up slowly, made a show of looking dizzy. "Oh, I don't feel..." She swayed. "Are you okay?" Tayo asked, sounding genuinely concerned. "Just dizzy." She clutched the railing harder, her voice weak. "Miss Omoni?" Tunde's voice was uncertain now. She took one step up the stairs, swayed dramatically, and then, carefully, deliberately, making sure she wouldn't actually hurt herself or the baby, she collapsed on the stairs. She let her eyes close, let her body go limp, let herself fall silent. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then, "Miss Omoni!" Tayo screamed. All 3 children rushed to her. "She's not moving." Tunde's voice was panicked. "Wake up!" Sei shook her shoulder. "Please wake up." "Is she dead?" Tayo started crying. "We killed her." "We didn't kill her. We were just being mean." "Same thing?" Tayo was sobbing now. "We were so awful, and now she's dead, and it's our fault." "She's pregnant." Sei was crying too. "What about her baby?" "Oh God, what about her baby?" "We're going to jail," Tunde wailed. "I don't want to go to jail. I'm only 6. I'm only 4. Tayo collapsed beside Omoni, tears streaming. "Miss Omoni, please don't be dead." We're sorry. We'll be good. We promise. We'll eat all our vegetables. We'll do our homework. We'll clean our rooms. We'll never be mean again. Just please don't be dead. Omoni had to fight so hard not to smile, but she waited a few more seconds, letting them really feel the fear. God, please save her. Sei prayed through her tears. Please, we'll change. We'll be better. Just let her be okay. Please. That's when Omoni coughed. All three children gasped. She coughed again, fluttered her eyes open, and whispered weakly, "What happened?" "You're alive." All three children tackled her in a hug so fierce she actually did almost faint for real. "We thought you were dead." Tayo sobbed into her shoulder. "We're so sorry," Tunde cried. "We were testing you and we were mean and we'll never be bad again," Sei promised, her voice breaking. "Never. We'll be perfect. Just please don't leave us. Please." Omoni sat up slowly, letting them cling to her. She felt a tiny bit guilty about the deception, but looking at their tear-stained faces, she knew something important had happened. They'd broken through. You really mean it?" she asked softly. "Yes," they chorused. "You'll really be good." "We'll make a PACT, Sei announced. "Right here, right now." She put her hand in the middle. "I, Sei Thompson, promise to obey Miss Omoni, be a good kid, and never make her faint again." "I promise too." Tunde put his hand on top. "Me too." Tayo added his little hand. "And we'll protect you," Sei continued, "because you're part of our family now." "Our team," Tunde corrected. "Like the Avengers, remember? The best team ever." Tayo finished. Omoni felt tears, real ones, fill her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for giving me a chance." "Thank you for not dying," Tayo said seriously. Despite everything, Omoni laughed. Mrs. Okafor, who had been watching from the kitchen and had known exactly what Omoni was doing, smiled to herself. Smart girl, that one. From that day forward, everything changed. The transformation was miraculous. Suddenly, mornings were peaceful. The children woke up on time, got dressed without fighting, and came down for breakfast with smiles. "Good morning, Miss Omoni," they'd chorus. "Good morning, my loves," she'd reply, and her heart would swell because they were her loves now. Breakfast became their favorite time. Omoni would make pancakes or eggs or whatever they wanted, and they'd talk about their dreams from the night before, their plans for the day, their thoughts about everything. "I dreamed I could fly," Tayo announced one morning. "Where did you fly to?" Omoni asked. "To get pizza." "That's a very practical use of flying." "That's what I said." Even Sei, the toughest nut to crack, started opening up. "Miss Omoni to see?" she said one afternoon during homework. "Yes, sweetheart?" "Do you think I'm smart?" "I think you're brilliant." "Really? Really? You're one of the smartest 8-year-olds I've ever met." "How many 8-year-olds do you know?" "Okay, fair point. But you're still brilliant." Sei smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "Thanks." The weeks passed in a blur of school runs, homework sessions, dinner preparations, bath times, and bedtime stories. Omoni's belly grew bigger. The baby kicked more, and the children became more and more excited about their future sibling. "Can I help pick the name?" Tunde asked. "We should call him Avenger," Tayo suggested. "That's not a name, that's a job title," Sei corrected. "What about something cool like Leonardo, after the Ninja Turtle?" "We're not naming the baby after a cartoon character." "Why not? It's a good name." Omoni laughed at their arguments. They weren't fighting, they were bonding. Segun watched all of this with amazement. His children were happy, actually happy. They laughed more, they smiled more, they fought less. And Omoni had brought light back into his home. He found himself looking forward to coming home from work. Not just to see his kids, but to see her, to hear about her day, to watch her waddle around the kitchen, singing off-key while cooking. to see her rub her belly and talk to the baby like it could hear her. "You're going to love your big brothers and sisters," she'd say. "They're crazy, but they're wonderful." One evening, Segun found her in the nursery they'd set up, a guest room converted into a baby room with a crib, changing table, and soft toys the children had picked out. "Hey," he said softly from the doorway. She turned her hand on her belly. "Hey yourself. How are you feeling?" "Huge, tired, happy." She smiled. "Really happy, Segun. Happier than I've been in maybe ever. The kids love you. I love them too, even when they're being terrors." She sat down in the rocking chair with a sigh of relief. "This chair is amazing. Where did you get it?" "Sei picked it out. She said babies need comfortable chairs to be rocked in. She has strong opinions about everything." "Wonder where she gets that from," Segun said dryly. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, listening to the children playing downstairs. Actual happy playing, not destructive chaos. "Segun?" Omoni said softly. "Yeah. Thank you for taking a chance on me, for giving me this opportunity. I know I was a random homeless woman and you had no reason to trust me. You gave me my kids back." Segun interrupted. "The real them, the happy them. Before you came, they were angry, hurt, acting out. Now they're just kids again. So thank you." Their eyes met across the nursery and something passed between them. Something warm and significant and slightly scary. Omoni looked away first. "Your ex-wife called today." Segun's face hardened. "What did she want?" "To talk to the kids. I told her they were at school. She said she'd call back." "Did she say anything to you?" "She called me the help." Omoni laughed without humor. "Which, I mean, technically I am." "No," Segun said firmly. "You're not the help. You're family." The word hung in the air between them. Family. Before either could say more, Teo came running in. "Miss Omoni, the baby store delivered your package. Can we open it, please, please?" "Sure, let's." Omoni tried to stand, but her pregnant belly made it difficult. Segun reached out automatically, helping her up. His hand was warm on her arm. She looked up at him, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. "Thanks," she whispered. "Anytime." "Hello?" Taya waved between them. "Package? Baby stuff? Can we please open it?" The moment broke. They both laughed. "Yes, let's go see what Santa brought," Omoni said, ruffling Tayo's hair. As they walked downstairs together, Segun realized something that both terrified and thrilled him. He was falling for her. This homeless woman he'd hired on a whim. This pregnant stranger who'd become essential to his family. This person who made his house feel like a home. He was absolutely, undeniably falling for Omoni, and he had no idea what to do about it. It happened at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Omoni woke up to a gush of water in immediate panic. Her water had broken. The baby was coming. Now. She waddled to Segun's room, which felt incredibly intimate and scary, and knocked urgently. "Segun! Segun, wake up!" He opened the door immediately, hair messy, wearing pajama pants and no shirt. Omoni tried very hard not to notice his chest. "What's wrong?" "Baby, coming, hospital, now!" Segun's eyes went wide. Now. Yes, now. He sprang into action like a man possessed. Kids, wake up!" All 30 children appeared within seconds, sensing the emergency. "What's happening?" Sei asked, alert immediately. "Miss Omoni's having the baby." "Everyone get dressed. We're going to the hospital." "The baby's coming!" Tayo screamed with excitement. "The baby's coming!" "We know, you don't have to scream," Tunde was throwing on clothes at superhuman speed. Sei, ever the organized one, grabbed the hospital bag they'd prepared. "Got it! Let's go!" The drive to the hospital was chaos. Omoni was having contractions, breathing through them like the YouTube videos had taught her. Segun was driving like a man in an action movie, fast but somehow safe. The kids were in the back seat chanting, "Baby, baby, baby," like it was a sports event. "Are you okay, Miss Omoni?" Tayo asked during one particularly bad contraction. "I'm fine, sweetie," she gasped. "You don't sound fine. Babies are hard to push out." "Should I call an ambulance?" Tunde asked frantically. "We're almost there." Segun reassured them, running a red light. "Hold on, Omoni." They screeched into the hospital parking lot. Nurses rushed out with a wheelchair. Omoni was swept inside while Segun handled the paperwork and tried to keep three extremely excited children under control. "Can we watch?" Tayo asked. "Absolutely not," Segun said. "Why not?" "It's educational." "Because I said so." The children were relegated to the waiting room, where they proceeded to drive every other waiting person slightly crazy with their energy. "How long does it take to have a baby?" Tunde asked for the 15th time. "However long it takes," Segun replied, pacing. "That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have." 6 hours later, 6 hours of labor, Omoni gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. When the nurse came out and said, "It's a boy, Mom and baby are healthy," the children erupted in cheers so loud the entire waiting room heard. They were allowed in one at a time to meet the baby. Sei went first, her usual confidence replaced by nervousness. She approached the bed where Omoni lay, exhausted but glowing, holding a tiny bundle wrapped in a blue blanket. "Want to meet him?" Omoni asked softly. Sei nodded, unable to speak. Omoni carefully passed the baby to her, and Sei held him like he was made of glass and diamonds and everything precious in the world. "He's so small," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "He's perfect," Omoni agreed. "What's his name?" "Akin, it means brave one." "Akin," Sei repeated, looking down at the tiny face. "Hi, Akin, I'm Sei. I'm your big sister. Well, not biologically, but in every way that matters. And I'm going to protect you forever, I promise." She kissed his forehead gently, then carefully handed him back. Tunde went next. He was less gentle, nearly dropping the baby before Omoni caught him. But his face showed pure wonder. "He's really real," Tunde breathed, "like an actual baby person." "What did you think he'd be?" "I don't know, but seeing him makes it real." He touched Akin's tiny hand. "Hi, baby brother. I'm Tunde. I'm going to teach you everything. Like how to play video games and catch lizards and make the best paper airplanes. It's going to be awesome." Tayo was last, and he approached with unusual seriousness for a 4-year-old. "Can I hold him?" he asked quietly. Omoni sat him in a chair and carefully placed Akin in his arms, supporting the baby's head. Tayo stared down at Akin with an expression of complete awe. "He's the most beautiful thing I ever saw." "Even more beautiful than lizards?" "Way more beautiful than lizards," Tayo declared. "Nothing is as beautiful as Akin. Nothing in the whole world." He started crying, happy tears, and didn't even seem embarrassed about it. "I love him so much already," Tayo whispered. "Is that weird?" "No, baby. That's family." Segun came in last, and the sight of him made Omoni's breath catch. He looked at her, exhausted, hair messy, no makeup, hospital gown, like she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "You did amazing," he said softly. "Thanks for getting us here alive. That was some impressive driving. I may have broken several traffic laws. Worth it." He approached the bed, looking down at baby Akin. "He's perfect, Omoni. Absolutely perfect. You want to hold him?" "Can I?" She passed Akin to him, and watching Segun hold her baby did something strange to Omoni's heart. He was so gentle, so careful, cooing softly at Akin, like he was the most precious thing in the world. "Hi, little man," Segun whispered. "Welcome to the family. You've got 3 crazy siblings who are going to spoil you rotten, and a mom who loves you more than anything. And And you've got me too, if you'll have me. Omoni felt tears stream down her face. Damn hormones. Or maybe it wasn't hormones. Maybe it was just this beautiful, impossible family they had accidentally created. Bringing a kin home started an entirely new kind of chaos, the wonderful kind. The children fought constantly, but now it was about who got to help. It's my turn to burp him, Sei argued, holding Akin gently against her shoulder. But I didn't get to change his diaper, Tunde protested. You can have the next diaper, Sei promised. But what if he doesn't poop again for hours? Then you'll wait. That's not fair. I want to sing to him, Tayo announced, and before anyone could stop him, he launched into a completely made-up song. Baby Akin, you're so cute. You're so small. Baby Akin, you're the cutest of them all. You have tiny hands and tiny feet and a tiny little face. Baby Akin, you're from outer space. Why is he from outer space? Omoni asked, trying not to laugh. Because he's amazing, and amazing things come from space. The logic was flawed but adorable. Watching the children with Akin melted Omoni's heart daily. They were so gentle, so careful, so protective. When Akin cried, all three of them came running. When he needed anything, they fought over who got to help. I'll get his bottle. I'll get his pacifier. I'll just stare at him because he's perfect. One afternoon, Segun came home early from work to find all four children napping together in the living room. Sei held Akin carefully against her chest. Tunde and Tayo were cuddled on either side, everyone peaceful and sweet. He pulled out his phone and took about 50 pictures. His heart felt so full it might explode. Omoni appeared beside him, fresh from a much-needed shower. That's a beautiful sight, she whispered. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Segun agreed. Moni? Yeah. I need to tell you something. Her heart stuttered. His tone was serious. Okay. My ex-wife, Jennifer. She's coming back to Lagos. She called. She wants to fight for custody. Omoni felt her blood run cold. What? But she left them. She abandoned them. I know. But she has lawyers now, good ones. And she's claiming I'm unfit because I keep hiring unqualified caregivers. He looked at her. She means you. I'm not unqualified. I've been doing great. I know that. The kids know that. But on paper, a homeless pregnant woman with no formal childcare training, it doesn't look good. Omoni felt panic rising. So what do? We fight. We show the courts that you're exactly what these kids need, that they're thriving, that they're happy. He took her hand. But Omoni, I need to know you're with me, that you're not going to disappear when things get hard. I'm not going anywhere, she said fiercely. Those kids are mine now. Well, not legally, but in every way that matters. No one is taking them away, not while I'm breathing. Segun's eyes softened. You really love them. Of course I do. They're my babies too. All four of them. Four. Sei, Tunde, Tayo, and Akin. My babies. My family. Segun pulled her into a hug. She fit perfectly against his chest, her head tucked under his chin. We'll fight this together, he promised. Together, she agreed. Neither of them noticed Sei watching from the stairs, a small smile on her face. Jennifer Thompson arrived at the mansion on a Saturday morning, unannounced, with a lawyer and enough attitude to fill a courtroom. She was beautiful, tall, perfectly dressed, designer everything. Her hair was styled like she'd just stepped out of a salon. Her makeup was flawless. She looked like money. Omoni, who was wearing sweatpants and one of Segun's old t-shirts because nothing else fit over her post-pregnancy body, felt instantly inadequate. Well, Jennifer said, looking Omoni up and down with barely concealed disgust. This is the help? I'm not the help. I'm Omoni. Same thing. Jennifer brushed past her into the house like she owned it. Where are my children? Your children? Omoni's voice was ice. Your children? You left them 5 years ago. I made a mistake. I'm here to correct it. Jennifer looked around the mansion. I see Segun did well for himself, again. Funny how that works. What do you want? Segun appeared from his office, his face hard as stone. My family back. Jennifer's voice was all sugar and poison. My children. My husband, ex-husband, and they're not your children anymore. Biology says otherwise. Love says otherwise. Omoni snapped before she could stop herself. Jennifer turned to her slowly. I'm sorry, did the help just speak to me? My name is Omoni, and yes, the help is speaking, because someone needs to tell you that you can't just walk back into people's lives like you own them. And who are you to talk? Some homeless woman Segun took pity on? Playing house with my family? They were never your family. Omoni was shaking now. Family doesn't abandon people when times get hard. Family doesn't run away because money runs out. Family stays. I want to see my children. Now. No, Segun said flatly. I have rights. You have nothing. The shout came from the stairs. Everyone turned. Sei stood there, flanked by her brothers, all three of them glaring at Jennifer with identical expressions of fury. Sweetie, Jennifer tried to approach. Don't call me sweetie. Don't call me anything. You don't know me anymore. I'm your mother. No, you're the woman who gave birth to me. There's a difference. Sei came down the stairs with the confidence of a general leading troops. Miss Omoni is more of a mother than you ever were. She stays when things are hard. She doesn't run away when daddy is broke. She loves us even when we're awful. She's family. Yeah, Tunde stepped forward. You left us. We were little and you left. And now you only want us back because daddy has money again. Even little Tayo understood. That's mean. You're a mean person. Jennifer looked genuinely shocked. I made a mistake. I was young. I was scared. So was Dia D, Sei shouted. He was scared too. But he stayed. He worked hard and he brought us back from nothing. And he never left us. And then Miss Omoni came, Tunde continued, and she was pregnant and homeless and had nothing. But she still didn't leave us even when we were awful to her. We put salt in her tea, Tayo added, and she stayed. That's wonderful for her, Jennifer replied through gritted teeth. But I'm still your mother. You're a stranger, Sei said coldly. A stranger with the same DNA. That's all. The words hung in the air like bombs. Jennifer's perfect makeup couldn't hide the tears forming. You don't mean that? Yes, we do. All three children have said it together. Jennifer looked at Segun desperately. Tell them I'm their mother. You were their mother, Segun said quietly. Past tense. You gave that up when you walked away. These children love Omoni. They chose her. And I... He paused, looking at Omoni with something deep and real in his eyes. I choose her too. The declaration sent electricity through the room. You're replacing me with her? Jennifer gestured at Omoni like she was garbage. She's not replacing you, Segun said firmly. She's replacing the idea of you, the empty space where a mother should have been. She's been more family in 3 months than you were in 3 years. Jennifer's lawyer cleared his throat. Mrs. Thompson, perhaps we should reconsider. No, Jennifer's voice cracked. I won't lose my family to some homeless nobody. Then you should have thought of that before you threw us away like trash, Sei screamed, tears streaming now. When Daddy was broke, you left. You said we were a burden. You said you deserve better. Well, guess what? We deserve better too. We deserved a mom who stayed, and we found one. Her name is Omoni, and she's better than you'll ever be. Jennifer was crying now, makeup running, perfect facade crumbling. Please don't do this. You did this. Tunde said, surprisingly gentle. You chose money over us. Now we're choosing love over you. And Miss Omoni has lots of love, Tayo added. She hugs us and reads to us, and she even likes Akin more than she likes sleeping. And babies are hard. Akin, Jennifer looked confused. Her son, Segun said, our newest family member. The hour was deliberate, inclusive, family. Jennifer looked around at the united front before her. Segun, Omoni, 3 children, and presumably a baby somewhere, and realized she'd already lost. This isn't over, she said, voice shaking. Yes, it is, Segun replied. Leave, Jennifer, and don't come back. The courts will hear about how you abandoned 3 children, had no contact for 5 years, and only returned when money was involved. Good luck with that. Her lawyer was already backing toward the door. Jennifer stood there broken and alone, seeing what she'd thrown away. I really am sorry, she whispered. We don't care, Sei said simply. Goodbye. Jennifer left, the door closing behind her with a final sounding click. The moment she was gone, all 3 children rushed to Omoni, hugging her fiercely. We meant it, Sei said. You're our real mom now. You're the one who stayed, Tunde added, and we love you so much. Tayo squeezed her middle. Omoni was crying, ugly crying, happy crying. I love you too, all of you, so much. Segun watched this scene, his heart so full he thought it might burst. This was his family, not the one he'd planned, but the one he'd found. Perfect. Time moved strangely after Jennifer left. Weeks became months. Akin grew, hit milestones, became the most spoiled baby in Lagos history. The children thrived in school. The house was full of laughter and chaos and love. And Segun fell deeper and deeper for Omoni every single day. He loved how she sang while cooking, how she made up silly games with the kids, how she'd fall asleep on the couch with Akin on her chest, how she'd argue with Sei about homework with the passion of a lawyer, how she'd let Tunde explain his increasingly bizarre experiments, how she'd always have time for Tayo's stories that went nowhere. He loved her. Simple as that. 1 year after she'd first arrived at his gate, Segun made a decision. He found Omoni on the balcony one evening, watching the sunset, Akin asleep in her arms. Hey, he said softly. Hey yourself. She smiled at him. Kids are doing homework. Miraculously without fighting. Wonders never cease. He sat beside her, nervous in a way he hadn't been since his first business presentation. Omoni? Yeah. I've been thinking. Dangerous habit. Very dangerous. He took a deep breath. Why don't we make it official? She looked at him confused. Make what official? This, U.S., the family, everything. He turned to face her fully. Let's get married. Omoni's mouth fell open. What? I like you. Really, really like you. Actually, I love you. I love how you love my kids. I love how you make this house feel like home. I love how you make me laugh even when I'm stressed. I love how you've transformed our lives. I love you, Omoni, all of you. So what do you say? Want to upgrade from business arrangement to actual marriage? That's the worst proposal I've ever heard, she said. But she was smiling. It's the only proposal you've ever heard. True? She pretended to think about it. Will I still have to deal with breakfast? Breakfast drama? Absolutely. And homework wars? 100%. And Tayo's weird questions? Forever and always. And your terrible jokes? Hey, my jokes are excellent. They really aren't. She was laughing now, tears streaming down her face. But yes, Segun, I'll marry you. He kissed her, soft and sweet, with their sleeping baby between them. From Sei's window, 3 faces watched with huge grins. Operation Get Them Married worked, Sei whispered triumphantly. I told you leaving those romantic movies playing would make Dad think about love. Tunde high-fived her. Are we getting a new mommy officially? Tayo asked. We're getting the best mommy officially, Sei corrected. They ran downstairs, burst onto the balcony, and tackled both adults in a hug that nearly woke Akin. We knew it, they screamed. You knew what? Segun asked, laughing. That you loved each other. We've been waiting. You little spies. Omoni ruffled Sei's hair. Excuse me, we prefer matchmaking geniuses, Sei corrected. 2 months later, they had a small wedding in the garden. It was perfect, simple, intimate, full of love. Sei was maid of honor, wearing a dress she'd picked out herself and looking way too grown up. Tunde was best man, taking his job very seriously. Tayo was ring bearer and only dropped the rings once. Akin wore a tiny tuxedo and gurgled happily through the whole thing. Mrs. Okafor cried, the security guards cried, even the gardener cried. When Sagan kissed his bride, the children cheered so loud the neighbors probably heard. Omoni looked at her new family, her husband, her children, her life, and remembered that day at the gate. She'd been looking for shelter. She'd found a home. She'd been looking for a view. She'd found a family. She'd been looking for survival. She'd found love. Thank you, she whispered to Segun as they danced. For what? For seeing me, for giving me a chance, for this. Thank you, he countered, for saving us, for loving us, for staying. Always, she promised. Always. And she meant it. Sei was 13 now, confident and brilliant, planning to be a lawyer. She'd just won her school's debate championship. Tunde was 11, still conducting experiments, but now with adult supervision. He wanted to be a scientist. Tayo was 9, had lost his obsession with lizards and gained an obsession with soccer. His room was covered in posters of his favorite players. Akin was 6, starting first grade, the most loved little boy in Lagos, spoiled rotten by 3 older siblings who adored him. And Omoni was pregnant again. Another baby, the kids screamed when she told them. Another one to protect. Sei grinned. Another one to teach stuff to? Tunde added. Another one to play with. Tayo bounced around. Another sibling. Akin, who was old enough to understand, looked thrilled. Segun pulled Omoni close, his hand on her growing belly, their children surrounding them in a chaotic group hug. You know what's funny? Omoni said. What? I came here with nothing, homeless, pregnant, desperate, and you said my children need a mother and you need a roof over your head. Let's make a deal. Best business deal I ever made, Segun grinned. And now look at us. 5 kids, a marriage, a whole life. Correction, Segun said, kissing her forehead. Not a life. A family, the best kind. The chaotic kind, Tayo added. The loudest kind. Tunde laughed. The most dramatic kind. Sei struck a pose. The perfect kind, Akin said simply, hugging his mother's legs. And standing there in their beautiful chaos, surrounded by love and noise and sticky fingers and laughter, Omoni realized something profound. Home wasn't a place, it was these people. These wonderful, crazy, perfect people who had taken her in when she had nothing, who had become her everything. Hey, Omoni, Segun whispered in her ear. Yeah, I love you. I love you too. Group hug, Tayo yelled, and everyone piled on, laughing and shouting and being entirely too loud for 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. But that was okay, because that was family, and family was everything.